Hello everyone. Alright, so I'm coming to you with a video that I hope will help a lot of people, especially ones that are looking into starting their cloth pad journey or reusable journey in the menstrual world. So I had a question in my group asking, what I wish I knew then that I now know. What else? Things that you learned throughout your journey, and just kind of things like that. And I called my friend up, and her and I brainstormed together and came up with a whole bunch of topics for me to talk about with you all. Literally a page and some on the back. So I'm going to go over all of these, and hopefully it helps you all. Okay, so the first one that is probably the biggest piece of information and advice is don't have unrealistic expectations when you switch to cloth. What that basically means is when you first start out, you usually hear about these women, oh my god, my cycle, it's changed and it's shorter and I don't cramp as much and yada yada yada, right? It's not gonna happen that way for everyone. It's just not, okay? I was one of the lucky ones, and I had less pain and my cycle shortened, and I would say my cycle's maybe a little bit lighter, not by much though. But that doesn't happen for everyone. I have heard plenty of stories in the community where it hasn't changed a thing for some women, and they've been using them for years, okay? So don't go into this thinking that if you switch that you're magically going to start having better periods, because it's not always the case, okay? Also, you need to do a lot of trial and error, okay? Tons of it to see what works for you, what your body prefers, what you prefer, and what works best for you, alright? Another thing is that there is such a thing as synthetic sensitivities. So if you have a sensitivity to polyester or fibers that are not natural, there we go, went a bit brain dead. It's a real thing, and a lot of women think, oh well, I can't use cloth pads then because I'm allergic to the backers and stuff like that. No. A lot of makers do offer a option of a hidden P-well lining, which would make it waterproof, backed with flannel, so you wouldn't have any synthetic materials actually touching your skin. So that is an option if you end up having that sensitivity. Let's see, you also will learn what type of bleeder you are. This is kind of a weird thing to think about, and you've probably never thought about it until you actually switch to cloth pads. When I first started my cycle, I was 12, and I assumed everyone bled like me. I'm a front bleeder, so I assumed everyone bled like me. I figured they all have these problems of if they overflow, it's up on their shirt at night, or, up to their pants in the front at night if they overbleed, or you know what I mean? I assumed everyone was the same as me, and it's not the case at all. I was completely blown away when I started this and realized there are so many different bleeders. So many. You have front, you have center, you have back, you have center to back, you have people who are front when they're standing, center to back when they're sitting, side bleeders. The variety is immense. I mean, it's just insane. There are so many different ways to bleed that you never thought there would be, okay? Everybody is different, so keep that in mind. So what may work for me is probably not going to work for you. Like with my friend, she's the complete opposite of me, so I always run to her, for these kind of black and white options, and to show you all how very different we can be. Okay, another thing is a lot of makers, most all of them I should say, have different shapes and styles, okay? Some have novelty shapes like teddy bears, a mouse, kitty cat. Versatile just came out with a calla lily. Casey at Leak Freak has a diamond and a heart. Let me think. Rebecca came out with some new ones over at All Fluffed Up. Like there's just a ton of variety out there, along with your basic shapes, your rounded ends. Okay. So just keep that in mind when you're looking around. I mean, what may work for you with one maker may not work for you with another maker who does something similar. So these are things that are examples of what I say trial and error. Okay, the next thing is different makers use different absorbencies. In mine, I always use bamboo, so my liners have bamboo flannel, and my lights, moderates, and heavies all have bamboo fleece. Some use only flannel for their cores, some use only Zorb, some use mixtures of flannel and Zorb, or Zorb and bamboo, like, variety is endless, okay? And every maker has their own take on what an absorbency core should be made of. So for me, a moderate in my shop is one layer of heavy organic bamboo fleece, there we go. And another one may have like 3 layers of flannel, or another one may have 1 layer of flannel and a layer of Zorb. Like, it's just very different throughout all of us. So if one maker's absorbency doesn't work for you, another maker's may in the same absorbency. Okay, so remember that. All of your different toppers absorb differently. This is something you've probably never thought about. So Minky doesn't, I wouldn't say it absorbs instantly. If you compared it to OBV, it definitely doesn't. OBV is organic bamboo velour, and because it is a natural fiber, and because it's got like the fuzziness, it just wicks the liquid straight into the core. It's amazing. But because Minky is polyester, it's a synthetic material, it kind of pools on top and then slowly goes through the weave of the threads. Let's see, cotton woven or quilter's cotton. That one sometimes gives ladies a stay dry effect. I've never experienced that, but I've heard them say that. And it is relatively a quick absorption. Knit is kind of one that will not really pull, but it'll sit and then soak. But it's not like it sits for a long time. It's not like a fleece where you have to compress it through. It's not like that. Crushed velvet is similar to, it's kind of like a cross between Minky and velours, just because of the way the pile is, but it's a synthetic fiber. So that one's kind of like an in-between organic bamboo velour and Minky. Suede cloth is a stay-dry fabric. Athletic wicking jersey is stay-dry fabric. So they wick into the core instantly, basically, and then you have kind of like a stay-dry feeling. Sherpa, that one's a really fast one like OBV because it's a natural fiber. Okay, so those are how those absorb. Now let's move on to how these wear, okay? Because different toppers wear differently. Cotton woven is the cheapest, has more variety in prints, but has no stretch. So a lot of times what you'll see is if your maker that you purchase from has a core that is a natural fiber, a cotton or a bamboo or a hemp, anything like that, as you wear and wash, your natural fibers are having the natural oils in them washed out, which causes them to be more absorbent, but it makes them shrink, okay? And it's not a significant amount in my opinion, it's just that's how the fibers work. And what happens is because you have a topper that is not stretchy and doesn't have any give in it, it starts to wrinkle that topper, which is the cotton woven. It just kind of wrinkles it. It doesn't affect the absorbency. It doesn't affect the way it wears, nothing. It just kind of wrinkles it. But if you have something that that doesn't shrink, maybe like a Zorb, you won't have that problem. Cotton knits do not pill as long as you get cotton and not polyester knits. Polyester knits pill so bad. It's annoying. It's really, really annoying and horrible. Crushed velvet wears really well. It doesn't pill, and it stays soft. Let's see. I don't think it stains either. Cotton wovens can stain, knits can stain. Knits can sometimes fade. Your cotton wovens typically don't. Your polyester fabrics don't fade. Let's see what else. OBV, that one wears really nice, but sometimes if you air dry, you need to pop it kind of like in the dryer for a few minutes just to fluff it back up. Minky, as long as you care for it correctly, it won't get like matted or pilly. I don't have any suede or athletic wicking jersey, but I know that they don't pill. So those ones are really good for wearing too, because they don't wear with pills and stuff like that. Sorry, my kids are banging on the back door. Wonderful. Okay. Another thing is lengths of your pads do matter. When I first started, I thought, well, I'm a front bleeder. I don't really need all this extra coverage in the back because I don't bleed back there. So I figured, you know, 8 to 9 inches was my Goldilocks length, and that just isn't really the case. Hold on, I went like kind of white and blue there. Look at me. We have like clouds going in and out, so I'm changing colors.
Hands, okay?
Okay, wonderful.
I got dirty hands.
Okay.
See?
Ew. Gross. Okay, moving on. Your length does matter, so you're going to have to kind of, again, do trial and error, see what your Goldilocks length is, or if you have different Goldilocks for different times of your cycles kind of deal, yada yada. So my liners, as long as they are an asymmetrical, I like them to be 8 or 9 inches. For my moderates, which is all I ever use, I don't use heavies, I like 9 to 10 inches, sometimes 11, but not usually. It's usually 9 to 10, okay? And gusset, that's another thing that you will hear about. Gusset is the width of your pad when snapped. So after it's snapped up and what it will look like in your underwear, that is what the gusset is. And some women like a really small gusset, which is like 2 inches. Others, which is normal, is about 2.5 inches. But you can get 2 inches, 2.25, 2.5, 2.75, and 3. Maybe 3.25. Not very often. Look, I'm going blue again! Oh man. Sorry. The sun's just got all these clouds going in front of it. Okay, the next thing is don't be as scared of anti-pill fleece for a backer. I'm always worried that I'm going to bleed through it, but I've never actually bled through it. So, and I've put some of them through a really good test, and I've never bled through them. So don't be scared of that. It's a good option when you're first starting out to have kind of like a cheaper option, and that's definitely a way to make them cheaper, is to use anti-pill, okay? A good anti-pill, though, is usually what I would recommend, like a Blizzard fleece or something like that. Okay, overnight solutions can be extremely hard to find. I am not a heavy bleeder at night. My body is basically a, will hold everything, and then when you stand up, gush. Okay, so basically what I'll do is I'll wear like a moderate or light, and when I go to stand up out of bed, I run for the bathroom because it's just going to gush into that pad. But someone like my friend who helped me design this topics paper, she still hasn't found a nighttime solution because she's just like a dying animal at night. It's unreal. The horror stories she's told me. I don't understand how someone can bleed that much at night, but it happens. There are women out there who have that problem, and she is one of them. She has told me that she will wear a cup and a heavy and bleed through it in like 3 hours or something. It's ridiculous. I don't know what her deal is. Like, she's got to get it together or something, but it's something that does happen. You know, you have these little parts of your period that you just, they're like some magical creature that you can't figure out how to tame, and that's one of them that you can run into. Is an overnight solution can be really hard because it's the longest period that you have to make one system work, so to speak. Some people, they can do like a cup and have like a heavy backup in case you overflow, and a lot of people will just have like a really long pad for when they're moving around. So that's definitely going to be a trial and error thing, but you can hook up systems where you have like a cup and a pad at the same time to help. So if you're okay with internal protection, I would try that out. You could even do a sponge, a sea sponge. I've heard of those. I haven't tried them, but I've heard of them. So, you know, lots of options to try and figure out what works best for you. Okay. My other biggest piece of advice is do not be scared, oh my goodness, do not be scared of purchasing used pads, okay? I know this kind of gives everyone this really weird EBGB feel, and my friend was one of them, and I had to force her through it, and now she's like, okay, you know. But when purchasing used items, it goes along the same aspect of if you have cloth diapered and you purchase a used cloth diaper, you just disinfect it, you sanitize it. So you throw it in the wash with a little bit of bleach, and bleach kills everything. So as long as you're a household that's okay with bleach, used is totally cool. It's a great way to try makers without purchasing them at full retail value and trying a whole bunch of different ones for a smaller price, and if they don't work, you're not out that much. So if that makes sense, okay? It's a great way to check it out. You can also go onto the buy sell trade pages and see all these different makers that people are selling, and then you can go to their groups if you only want to purchase new, and then, you know, you can just join the group and put an order in. So get into as many groups as you can on Facebook to help your journey. Alright, the next one, finding a care routine. This is a big one that I run into when I'm trying to help someone start their journey. Their biggest issue is, okay, how do I care for them? How do I keep them from staining? Or, you know, I've got all these pads and I've got all these stains and I don't like it and I don't want to use this pad because it'll stain. And honestly, I have a video for this to help you all, but I rarely have staining. Rarely. And if you're one that doesn't want to stain treat as you go through your cycle like I do, there are tons of makers who offer stain sticks. Even if it's not a pad maker, there are tons of Etsy sellers and Facebook sellers and all natural sellers that have stain sticks usually. And you can treat them that way. It's just an extra step that I don't want to deal with. So if you check out my video, then you'll see it's just like as I go through my cycle, my pads are getting stain treated. And then at the end, it's all done and I just wash. So it's not as hard as you think, and it's not as icky as you think. I think the biggest ick factor is after you take your pad off and you rinse it in the sink, which I always do because that helps with the staining part of it. Okay? That's the biggest thing, and it's, if you have kids, I'm pretty sure nothing is gross to you anymore. I know that's horrible, but it's true. After you have kids, you've been vomited on, pooped on, peed on, everything under the sun, so washing out your own blood is usually like the lowest on the gross scale for me. Okay, next thing, air drying. That was my biggest thing. I was adamant I was not going to air dry. No way, no how, blah, 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 because I cloth diapered, and anytime I would air dry, they became so stiff and what we would call crunchy, and I just didn't want to do that with my pads. You know, they're going into a sensitive area. I don't want these, you know, cardboard brick things in my underwear. But I gave into it and tried it. I was kind of a what the hell kind of deal, you know what I mean? You just get into these little phases. That was one of mine. So I tried it out, and it's actually not that bad. If they kind of get a little bit stiff, like my OBV, when they dry, they kind of like are drying in all these different directions on the fuzz. You just pop it in the dryer, and it softens them up. It's great. So it's a really great way to be economical and energy efficient if you air dry, and then maybe in your load of laundry that you're already drying, just throw them in there, and then they get a little bit of dry time and they soften up and they're ready to go. Okay, traveling. This is one that it also gets asked a lot. I'm going out of town and I'm going to be starting my cycle. How am I possibly going to be able to use cloth while I'm out? It's easy. Okay, here's my thing. I always have backup, okay? I have it in my car, in my purse, in my husband's car, sometimes. I hardly ever take his car, so that's why. But I always have backup around me in case something happens. I'm usually at home when it happens, but it doesn't always happen that way. Some people start at school or work, or, you know what I mean? They're at a friend's house and they forgot their cycle's supposed to start, so always be prepared. If you're going out of town and you know your cycle's supposed to start, it's very simple. You will hopefully by now know how long your cycle is going to be, how your cycle is in regards to how many heavy days, moderate days, light liners, blah, 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 blah. And then if you use internal protection, base it off of that. You won't have to use as many pads if you have internal protection. Okay? Take a wet bag. Yeah, if you're staying in a hotel or a parent's house or something, you just use as normal, rinse out with cold water. If you're able to, and they're not weirded out, so, you know, lay them over the bathtub. If they are weirded out, you have your wet bag. Just wash them or rinse them off in cold water, wring them out, get all the water out as much as you can, pop them in your wet bag, but don't zip it up all the way. Leave it about halfway unzipped. It's not going to smell. That just prevents it from getting mold and mildew, from being contained in a waterproof area, okay? And then when you get home, just throw them in a bucket of OxiClean to stain treat, or throw them in the wash and stain treat afterwards. I mean, however you do after that, that's what you do. It's simple. No one has to know. You've got this cute little wet bag that you don't have to tell them what it is. You know, you still got, if you're going out and about, you've got your stuff in your purse that you already, you know, planned for, and it's really not that big of a deal. Just think of what you do with disposables, but just do it with cloth, okay? And like in my shop, I rarely offer, but I offer like this little itty bitty wet bag that's about like this wide and about this tall. Perfect for like a purse, and you can put like 3 to 4 pounds in it. And it looks like this little zipped up baggy thing. No one has to know what it is. Okay, so it's not hard to get away with it and be discreet and still enjoy your cloth pads, okay? Ooh, this was a big one for me that I loved when I started. Okay, who here would go into the bathroom with a tampon or a pad, and someone would walk in, get in the stall next to you, and you'd have to rip your tampon open or pull open your pad and have all that wrinkle sound, and it was so embarrassing to me. I hated it. And then you'd have to push that door open on the metal trash can, which you can all hear, and then stuff it into the paper trash bag. Okay? This is the best part. You don't have that with cloth pads at all. No one knows what you're doing. No one knows, because there's no wrappers, there's no crinkle sounds. It's a snap and a zip. That's it. And if you don't have like a little zippered wet bag in your purse like me, you have a pad pouch, and there's no buttons, no snaps, no zippers. You just fold it in there. Done. No one knows what's going on. And if you have a cup and you don't have to change it, no one will ever know. It's great. It takes out all that embarrassment of your cycle in public completely, okay? And if you're in public and say your pad's full and you need to change it, just change it. And if it's in one of the ones where it's got stalls and then the sinks, just put it in a pad wrapper until you get home and then rinse it there. It's not the end of the world. It's great. There's no embarrassment. It's amazing. Okay. Another thing. People think, oh, well, they're just so thick. They're going to be so uncomfortable. Let me tell you what. They are not. They are so comfortable. They're like these little fluffy things in your underwear that you sit on and you're like, okay? They're not uncomfortable. And another one that my friend told me about is don't be worried about your pads showing through. It's very, very rare that they will ever show through, because along with people thinking they're thick, oh, they're going to show through my pants and people are going to see what I'm wearing. No. I've never had it. And if you're someone who wears yoga pants or something that's kind of form-fitting, just wear a thinner pad or a shorter pad. Or some people, if they wear a form-fitting type of pants, they will wear a thong, and then you can just use a thong liner or a thong pad, okay? There's ways to get around it, and usually no one will ever notice. And if they do, they really shouldn't be staring down there, in all honesty. It's probably a dude. He's not going to know what's going on. Next one. Oh, okay, here's one. I save certain pads out of my stash for certain parts of my cycle and the situations that I may run into while on that cycle. So my pads that have like a wide flare and are usually my moderates that I feel really secure and protected in if I go out, those are the ones that I save for if I'm going to be going out and about that day. I save those and wear them when I'm going out, because then I have that big huge flare in the front, lots of coverage, and I don't have to worry about, oh my god, I'm going to be leaking off of this in an hour or two. Oh, am I going to be buying a bathroom by then? Save certain pads you know make you feel comfortable and secure for those type of situations. Okay? Easy as that. Going back to the traveling and having the discreet ways of hiding your pads, so to speak. You've got little wet bags, you've got the pad wrappers, I've gone to like the thrift stores, and you know, like the little makeup bags that you can find. Sometimes they have like a little itty bitty one that goes with the set. I've put pads in those, and no one knows what they are because they match my makeup bag. These are things that you can kind of get creative with. It's really fun. You can go to the thrift store and find little things that you can use, or use a makeup bag or anything like that for traveling. It really doesn't matter, but it's just another great way to make it a little bit more discreet. If you think someone's going to be kind of weirded out by it, okay? Another thing that I really loved when I switched is I didn't have to budget for my monthly shop having to run out and buy tampons. And say, you know, you started your period and you didn't have any in the house, and you obviously don't want to go out and go get them. I couldn't trust my husband to go do it. He wouldn't do it anyways because he just doesn't do that stuff. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to make sure that I have some accounted for and have tons of backup in under my sink, and you know, all around my car and in my purse and stuff like that. I have my reusables, and I just place them strategically throughout my locations, and I'm set, and there's no worries. I've never been worried since switching, okay? But I hope this kind of helped you all. These are all topics and things that you learn and fears that you have when you start, but really there's nothing to be scared of. They are wonderful, they're comfortable, there's a great community for us all. The makers are like 99% wonderful. I mean, you're probably gonna get weird ones here and there, but most of us are awesome, okay? Let's see. A lot of them offer wet bags too and stain sticks. What else? Can't really think of anything else. I'm going brain dead here. But anyways, I hope that went over everything, and if there's any questions you have, just, you know, comment below and let me know what they are, and if I do another video or kind of update this one, I can run over that one, those little topics. But anyways, give this video a thumbs up if it helped you, if it had some good information, and click subscribe if you want to keep up with me. I'll be doing some more videos this week, hopefully. I got some work I gotta do, so may have to wait till next week. But I gotta get going, and I will talk to you all again soon. Bye!